So you mentioned being from Buffalo, home of Josh Allen and his rocket arm. You're a Bills fan.
Amen. Absolutely. I know where I was when the ball went wide right with Scott Norwide. And I'm a Red Sox fan because I lived 8 years during college and afterward in New England, so I know where I was when the ball went between Buckner's legs.
There you go.
Is that seminal days in my life.
Is that why you became a Democrat? Because you were so sick of seeing things going wide right?
That's good.
I mean,
I never thought of that.
The other thing I love about Buffalo is it's the home of Mad Dog. You know what Mad Dog is? So here's another free idea. You're going to love this one. The old, people always say you want to vote for somebody that you'd like to have a beer with, right? I don't think that really does it justice. I think you need to vote for somebody that you'd want to drink an entire bottle of Mad Dog. It's that bum wine. It's actually called Mad Dog 2020, which would tie in perfectly in the 2020 campaign. So just like instead of one debate, put me out there on a stage and let me drink a bottle of Mad Dog with each candidate and see who I enjoy it the most with, and then that person gets the nomination.
Well, in Buffalo, we would take Jenny Cream Ale and do the same thing. It had a green can, and we used to call it the Green Death. When I was growing up, because
that's a good one.
It could cure a lot of intestinal issues that you had
by creating new intestinal issues that are worse. Yeah. No, I love Bills fans. Have you ever jumped through a table at a tailgate?
I have not, nor have I slid off a rail from the upper deck to the lower deck. That happened 2 or 3 seasons ago. That's the definition of a bad day, because the guy not only hurt someone from below and got arrested, but then his bosses, after it was on social media for the millionth time, they fired him.
Yeah, that's tough. It's like, at least let the guy heal for a little bit. I guess it's a crime to be a good sports fan now. You should actually talk with Beto. You guys could do like a crossover thing where he likes to stand on tables. Maybe you could throw him through one.
Well, actually, they have banned the practice of throwing someone through a table in Buffalo.
I was interested from the get-go the way that you set up this debate, almost like it was the NBA draft lottery. Did you have ping pong balls? Did you have like a guy from PricewaterhouseCoopers that was there monitoring and checking to make sure you weren't freezing any envelopes?
Well, we gave a little bit of thought to inviting Dick Vitale to go over the bracket. And, oh, baby, the Northeast bracket. Right. This is big time, setting up the Final Four. But we thought that given the serious nature of the enterprise, we wouldn't. So when we did the first draw, we did it at NBC, and we had representatives from all the candidates or the campaigns that were there, because everything we've done very transparently. We've done things a lot differently because we really want to make sure we return power to the grassroots. I think there was a sense that many people had that the Democratic Party had become the party of elites. And I, as a kid who grew up in Buffalo and worked on the back of a trash truck to pay for college, and the notion that I was associated with something that was elite is a little counter to everything I believe. But so what we wanted to do was make sure we really did return power to the grassroots, and that's why we allowed you to get on the debate stage by not just polling, but by showing that you had a grassroots donor base. And then when we had 20 people who qualified, we did random assignment because we wanted to make sure, again, that we didn't have JV varsity. That didn't seem to work very well in my judgment.
Right.
I think every candidate here is someone that people need to kick the tires on.
It's 2 nights, 20 candidates.
Right.
Can you name all 20 candidates, by the way?
I think I could probably name all 20 candidates.
I have a fun mnemonic device for you to remember all 10 candidates in tonight's debate. Do you want to hear it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it's one of those things where you take the first letter of each candidate, and what I have is DNC knew Donna Brazile was illegally offering Clinton debate responses. That's kind of a fun one, isn't it? You like that one?
I was going to offer you the commission that you had requested for a number of your ideas. I think I'll skip that one.
You're going to skip that one. Okay. Who would be the Zion Williamson if we're sticking with the NBA lottery analogy of this debate? Who's Zion?
We're going to find that out, because right now we've got a lot of folks who have, I think, a lot of support, and
I think it's Bernie.
Well, again,
have you seen his low post game?
Bernie
will put you on skates. Bernie's broken some ankles out there. He's thick. He's got a low center of gravity like Zion. He's got a great bank shot too. Even
Well,
though
he got
banks.
a T for hanging on the rim. I don't know if you saw
Yeah,
that too. I
Bad
tell
sport.
people don't do that.
Bad
Although,
sport.
in all fairness, given his height, De Blasio does have that advantage in the low post.
That's right.
So I think
Can you tell him to fix the subway
6'5".
system? I know you're friends with him. I live in New York. It's tough. There are rats. Just tell him, please, just as a favor for me, be like, hey, I was talking to a guy from New York. You probably haven't heard this before, but some New Yorkers don't like the subway system.
I'll let him know.
Okay,
I mean,
thank you.
I'll get right on that right after
Okay,
this.
I appreciate it. You don't have anything else better to
Yeah,
do
well,
than
then
that, I'm sure.
but still the best bagels in the world.
That's true, and it's the water. I hear that it's
yeah.
the tap water there with all the minerals.
I
right?
live in the D.C. area, and I, for the life of me, have never had a good bagel in D.C. until recently, when a friend of mine who has some New York ties opened up a new bagel store in Washington, D.C.
Do they use New York water?
And he actually, when he was looking into it, he literally had somebody examine, is the water the difference maker? And they were going to have water shipped in if necessary, if that was the difference maker. And the answer is I can't tell you, because if I do, I'd have to shoot you, because
Okay.
it is a
You just
very
threatened to shoot me.
proprietary recipe.
I'm scared.
And the name of his place, quite literally, is called Call Your Mother. Best bagels in Washington.
Okay. Could tell me to call my mom, threatening to shoot me. I don't think the Republican Party has a monopoly on attacking journalists right now. I think that this goes both ways right here. I'm very terrified.
If I'm sitting here listening to this, I want to know what's Tom fighting for? What are the Democrats fighting for? Why should I engage? And the answer is, we're fighting for the issues that matter most. We're fighting to make sure that if you work a full-time job, you can feed your family, that you don't have to worry about your health care.
It's interesting you brought up health care, because I feel like that is one issue that has been a real flashpoint for Democratic voters and just voters in general the last several years. It seems like you've got a lot of people that are really pounding, standing on the table, just screaming for universal health care, free at point of use for everything. Then you have some saying, okay, we want to do tax credits for to alleviate some of the costs associated with getting a plan. What is your direction on that? If you were to take a stand and say, okay, this is what the party platform would be if you had your goal.
Well, the party platform starts with what I call, what is our basic value proposition? And we believe as Democrats that every person should have access to quality, affordable health care. And thanks to Democrats, by the way, we're 90% of the way there, whether it's Obama with the Affordable Care Act,
The website
or whether
was slow,
it was...
though.
We were a little...
The website was slow.
We took a mulligan on that.
Okay.
And we fixed it, but we undeniably screwed up on that. There's no other way to describe that. But millions of Americans now have access to health care. If you're diabetic, the Affordable Care Act is what enabled us to keep your coverage. If you're one of those 24-year-olds sleeping in your parents' basement, you can stay on their health plan until you're 26.
Now you're talking to our audience.
That's why I mentioned that one.
Yeah. Now you guys are paying
you can
attention.
keep your health care. Democrats on climate change are following the science. We know that when you have your third 100-year storm,
it's not
in
100-year
2 years,
storm anymore.
it's not a 100-year storm.
Yeah, I have actually a great suggestion for that. So the way that you can get a lot of the red states, I know you say you don't believe in red and blue states, but the way that you can get especially some of the states in the South to pay more attention to climate change is if you have more of their college football games canceled due to inclement weather during the fall. So last year, I think they had to reschedule a Clemson game or some game in South Carolina. Once they start losing those college football games, they're going to be like, we need to fix this shit. Like, this needs to get done. They will believe, like, I don't know if you of course have some friends in the college system because they're all run by Democrats, right? That's what I'm told. So get on the phone with some of them and say, hey, cancel a few football games. We'll get climate change sorted out.
Well, we'll
get back in Kyoto like that.
I have one of my kids goes to University of Wisconsin, and that's a religious experience to go to a Badger game. And if that got canceled,
people start
due
to
care.
Weather,
that would be a big deal.
Have you heard of the theory that people are more likely to vote out the incumbent if their football team isn't doing well?
I haven't heard that theory.
Yeah, just something that creeps into the back of people's perceptions. Like, I don't like my life right now because the University of Florida isn't a good football team anymore.
You know what's interesting about that is, then we would have had a succession in Buffalo of one-term mayors for decades.
That's a very good point.
Because the Buffalo Bills, until a couple of years ago, had the longest streak of not being in the playoffs, and then they finally got in a couple of years ago. And now the Buffalo Sabres, who my hockey team, they now have the longest streak of not making the NHL playoffs.
It's a dubious distinction.
It
so
is,
you
but
made
false hope is better than no hope at all. The Bills are undefeated right now.
Don't use that as your slogan for the Democrats.
Okay.
As a coach, you know that ball security is job security, right?
Amen.
Have you guys done anything to prepare yourself for phishing or spam email attacks?
Absolutely.
Okay, because I'm really good at, if you need a consultant, I used to trick my friends to clicking on meat spin all the time, but because I changed the code when I'd send them an email. So I don't know if you have anybody that can simulate these phishing emails.
You can be our fisherman.
I could be your fisherman, but did you have, like, is there training that you put people through?
Wow. Well, you know, our chief security officer, who used to be a disc jockey in another life, is spectacular. His name's Bob Lord. I prayed for a good cyber officer, and they sent me the Lord.
Bob Lord?
And
that's a strong security name.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't mess with the Lord.
No. No, you don't.
I mean, I learned that my sister Ann Perpetua taught me that in first grade at Christ
Ruler
the
of the
King
knuckles.
Grammar School. Yep.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Bob has done is, and Bob used to be the chief security officer at Yahoo, and he uncovered the Russian hack shortly after he started. It had predated his arrival, but he figured it out. Actually, they prosecuted a couple of the hackers because a couple of them were in Canada, and so they were able to get them into the country and prosecute them. And one of the things we have at the DNC is we have a group of people who every single day they're on social media looking for fake news, bots, and other things that are trying to sow unrest between Democrats. And we work with all the campaigns to make sure they have access, because we have to make sure that everything we do is protected, because the Russians hacked us. They took our information. They took it to help Trump and to hurt Hillary Clinton. And they're going to do it again because they did it with impunity.
Canadians.
Well, no, that was Yahoo. Oh.
Could have been Canadians. Muddying the waters a little bit. The most polite hackers in history from Canada. No, it's good that you're addressing that type of thing.
Oh,
Because
it's indispensable.
They've probably evolved their attacks from 2016 to right now. It's like in the NFL, you have to always try to stay one step ahead of the defense.
And this is an arms race, and what we have to do is make it harder and harder and harder for the other side to attack. Anyone who tells you that they're 100% cyber secure is lying to you.
Unless you're totally off the grid.
Well,
like
that's
Randy
true.
Quaid. Nobody's hacking Randy Quaid anymore.
That's true.
He doesn't even own anything.
Or my
electrical.
father-in-law. He's a proud Luddite.
There you go.
He does.
Maybe that's what the DNC should do.
He's in northern Wisconsin as we speak at his cabin, and he's got a little pad like that. That's his technology.
There you go. Just run your whole campaign from Walden Pond.
Oh, that'd
be nice, like a little throwback. Just totally off the grid. That'd be actually a very pleasant campaign.
It would,
but you
it would
probably
be very
wouldn't win.
civil, but we wouldn't connect with anyone.
You really wouldn't win, and at the end, you just move out being like, I lived in the woods for 2 years and wrote a book about it, and then a bunch of 11th graders are going to have to read it in 50 years. That's always fun. Okay, so who's your favorite?
In the campaign?
Yeah.
I love them all.
Who's your favorite? Come on, you have to have a favorite.
I love them all. I can't. You know what? I'm aggressively neutral.
Aggressively neutral. That is.
We're Switzerland. We're aggressively Switzerland.
Yeah, Switzerland is aggressively neutral for some not so great reasons, though.
Well,
so who's giving you the gold to store so that you will remain aggressively neutral?
Well, you know, we are. One of the lessons we learned, and frankly, the hard way, at the DNC is you got to make sure that everything you do treats everyone fairly. And I think part of the reason we've been winning elections is because people have seen that we can add value. People have seen that we're not putting a thumb on the scale. These debates, we've never done random assignment for a debate stage before. We're going to do it again next month when we have our debate in Detroit. We've never had a grassroots method of getting on the debate stage. That's unprecedented. And what all these things have in common is we're trying to give everyone a fair shake, and we're trying to send a message to listeners that our democracy is in your hands, and I want you to be in the driver's seat to make the choice of who our standard bearer should be, and I hope you will get out there and participate in our primary, and then get out there and participate in our general election, because we have to. Democracy, just as I said before, it can't be a spectator sport, and that's why I'm working 24/7 to make sure that every candidate gets that opportunity to shine.
Be like a Buffalo Bills fan. It's a spectator sport. Go out there, jump through some tables, slide down some railings, cover your ears, throw a dildo on the field when the Patriots are out there. Just really get involved in the system. Okay, you can take your hands off your ears now. That was kind of weird when they did that, right?
Well,
2 years in a row?
Well,
what's going on up there?
Buffalo, we now have a losing streak to New England that kind of rivals the one to Miami.
You have to admit that you would really like to see a little bit of scrappiness on stage, right? Like you want to see the nails and the teeth come out a little bit.
We'll see. Passion is what we'll see, and a society that loses its sense of moral outrage is doomed to extinction. And I worked for Ted Kennedy, and I heard him say that a number of times, and so it's sort of in my head. And you're going to see a lot of passion on the stage from all of the candidates. And I coach basketball for the simple reason that my youngest is a boy, and he is full of passion. Like, we had a very good year last year because he only got one technical foul. The trend data is moving in the right direction.
He's like Draymond Green.
And he's not like Draymond Green. Draymond Green is in a league of his own. I got no use for him.
I set the youth league record for quickest foul out.
I see so many folks right now who, they're rationing their insulin so that they can buy food in the United States of America in the year 2019. That's just wrong. And people. I think one good job should be enough, and I meet way too many people who are working 2-3 jobs because $7.25 you can't feed your family. Do you make $7.25?
$7.25 per episode. $75,000 per episode.
Damn.
It's not bad. You should look into the podcasting game. Do you have a podcast? Everybody else has a podcast.
I would like, for $75,000, I might leave this job and start that tomorrow. Can you guarantee me that?
Well, only if I'm a co-host of the podcast, then yeah, then people listen to it.
Okay. Can we talk about the Buffalo Bills?
Yeah, we can talk about. Well, we can talk about the Bills. Only Josh Allen. I'm a big fan of Josh Allen.
Yeah, he's a
rocking
great
arm.
athlete. Yeah.
He's got a right wing.
Yeah.
Unlike you guys. All right, and this was my good friend Tom. I actually co-host a podcast with him now. We talk about the Bills. It's called Bills Mafia. Check it out on iTunes. You like it?
I like it.
All right, thanks for sitting down. I appreciate you.
Great being with you. It was the last game of the year, and the Bills had a chance to make the playoffs. And we had finished skiing, and we're sitting in a bar outside. It was a beautiful day out. And Cincinnati needed to win the game for the Bills to get in. Baltimore needed to lose. 10 seconds left in the game, and Andy Dalton throws a Hail Mary, and Cincinnati wins. I was like, holy fucking shit! I mean, I was on fire.